Let the truth be told.
Giving all praises and giving all honor and all glory to the Most High and Him alone. This is your brother Zamron with the main host, Elder Shemaiah in the building. Let them know, Elder, how you feeling. Shout out to the chat. We love y'all. Go ahead and let them know how you feeling, Elder.
Shalom, shalom, family. We're here once again for another Let the Truth Be Told podcast. There's a lot going on in the world today that we're going to discuss. And today, family, I want y'all to bear with me. As you can see, I got me a new mic, and I'm also trying to navigate these videos as we go through them. So it's a learning experience for me, but I'm here, live and in color, raw and ready to go, family. My brother Zamron the Servant is grateful to be here with you, my brother. And we're going to go ahead and let the truth be told. All praise be to the Most High. And so we may have Brother Phineas chime in, Phineas Gad, YG. He may come in as we going through our videos and our discussion. So y'all give him a warm welcome when he come in. So with that being said, I want to say peace and love to everybody. It's time for us to unify. Y'all know my words all the time. Go out there and declare yourself. And stop being declared by somebody else. Declare yourself, declare your nationality, stand on your 10 toes and stop standing on somebody else's toes. So with that being said, we're going to dive right into it. All praise be to the Most High.
All praise be to the Most High, man. Y'all put those ones in the chat for Elder, you know what I'm saying, on the ones and twos for today. You feel me? Keep those ones in the chat, man, for the Elder, man. I'm excited, you know what I'm saying? To not have to play videos and just sit back and just watch the chat and enjoy this podcast like I always do. But hey, I'm excited, you know what I'm saying? So and Elder, you know, I got a big day tomorrow, Elder. I got a big day tomorrow, right? I'm going to the court to go declare, y'all, you know what I'm saying, who the hell I am according to the Most High. You understand?
Hallelujah. All praise be to the Most High. And you know, and that's a
praise.
liberating feeling when you go out there and what you have done is you showing yourself approved to man and to Yah when you stand on 10 toes and declare who you are. All praises.
All praise to the Most High. Shout out real quick, Elder, before we get into this. I got to give a shout out to the chat. They've been deep up in here, you know what I'm saying, waiting. Shout out to Yah is my judge, who says shalom. All praise to the Most High. Avia Barak, you know what I'm saying, my auntie in the building. All praise to the Most High. My other auntie, Earth Healing Angel. All praise to the Most High, you know what I'm saying. Elder single. That you got to throw that in there. Gates of Zion in the building. All praise to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Shalom. That's my brother Bez in the building. Hey, shout out to Gregory Hunt, right? Member on the channel. You know what I'm saying? We got these members up in here holding it down for us. I appreciate y'all. Also, my big brother Joshua the Levite. We know we can't forget him as well. GOZ until we are free. I'm very excited about what we got to show today. And also the elder sister Honduras in the building as well. All praise to the Most High. Elder, go ahead and take over. And Julian Vibes, Adia, there's a lot of them in here. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if I miss y'all, please forgive me. But hey, Elder, you got it.
Hallelujah. All praise be to the Most High, family. As we take a look at some of these videos that we have in reference to what's going on today in time, you know, we do a lot of work in doing research and looking at what's going on today that affects our people as a whole. There's a lot of things that go into that. And one of these things that I found interesting as I was scrolling through social media is there's an actual plantation today, family. And I want to show you an excerpt from that video real quick. Give me your thoughts.
Real quick. Shout out to my wife for the first time chiming in, you know what I'm saying, to the channel.
Hallelujah. All praise. All right, family.
Let's check this out, y'all.
When we uncovered a present-day plantation, we're concealing the identities of those living on this plantation to protect them from any repercussions.
If you have housing in the city which you move, where you will pay like $70 a month, Well, as long as it's around where I stay, yeah, I can do that.
You know, we couldn't get them to say anything about the owners on camera, but they explained to us off camera exactly what was going on, and they said to us if we were able to get them off of the plantation, that they would give us the full story on camera.
They would bring my mother to the house, and when they bring my mother to the house, one of us would have to go with my mother, so the master said. And so this was the particular time that I had to go with my mom.
But we uncovered a present-day plantation.
Oh, you good, Elder. You just scroll down a little bit. So when you scroll down, it's going back the video back up, you know what I'm saying, to the beginning. But you can just let it play again. That's fine.
In the city with the move, where you would pay like $70 a month?
Well, as long as it's around where I stay, yeah, I can do that.
You know, we couldn't get them to say anything about the owners on camera, but they explained to us off camera exactly what was going on, and they said to us if we were able to get them off of the plantation, that they would give us the full story on camera.
They would bring my mother to the house, and when they bring my mother to the house, one of us would have to go with my mother, so the master said. And so this was the particular time that I had to go with my mom. So my mom, and when it came to me, I was sitting there crying because when you don't know what's going on, I was sitting up there crying in this. And so the lady said they coming to me. So the master's wife said to him and the other brothers or whoever they were, and she said, and they was sort of looking, and she said, "Oh no, honey, no." And she says, she's not even a heifer yet. I didn't learn what that word was till over in the 70s. And she said, she's not even a heifer yet. She's just a yearling. You can't. But they gave my mouth, and they beat me just like they did my mama. And there I was laying in that pile of blood. A little bit of girl didn't know what to do. And his wife had to clean me up. But that never stopped.
But we uncovered.
Wow. What you think about that, Brother Zimran?
I just see, like, our people literally being subjugated to and being comfortable, right, with the conditions that we've been left with, post-slavery. And when you have this going on from generation after generation, it becomes a normality, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, it becomes normal as far as like part of your, your lifestyle, to where you're put in these certain positions and you just are so used to being put in these positions. Your family is being used to being put in these positions that you don't see what's really going on, and that they have us in control, right? And that we're still subjugated under our oppressor. And this is something, Elder, that you've been pushing, since we started this podcast, is to get our people to realize that we're greater than what the oppressor actually, deems us to be. And if we don't see ourselves as greater as far as how the Almighty and him alone sees us, then we're going to continue to be in these same type of mindsets of just being comfortable, right? Which is handouts, And when you get comfortable with handouts, right, then you also get into what I call a stagnant type mindset, to where you're afraid, to do things that are greater that the Most High has for you, that can help elevate you. And so a lot of our people are still living in houses like this, Elder, down south. I lived in Arkansas. There are still houses just like this in Forest City, Arkansas, where I lived at. I'm not lying to you. And so it just goes to show that, we got a long way to go. And with everything that's just happening right now in this world with the war and everything, The times of this and us just being blinded and being comfortable, those times are just coming to an end, because stuff's really about to turn up, and it's gonna wake up those who have just been comfortable, which is taking these little handouts, and they're really gonna get on their shit. I just gotta keep it real. Excuse my language, but that's what I got from this.
You know, and the thing about it is, it also brings back to memory what we learned in our history classes, what we learned in watching or reading literature about what happened on the plantation. But what it does, it brings us right back smack dab into the feelings of what transpired during that time. A lot of times we're disassociated and disconnected with what our ancestors went through on the plantation, what our sisters went through by being raped, by what our brothers went through by being buck broken. And so we live in a society today where we have cognitively distanced ourselves from what transpired at that time, but we still suffer from all of the memory that we remember consciously and subconsciously from those things that happened to our ancestors. So this is just a awakening to us to let us know that these things happen and they're still happening. That's like you hear a lot of people say today, oh, the slave trade never happened. We wasn't on the plantations.
I have been hearing
that. You can go down to I think that's South Carolina, to what they call the Gullah Geechee area. And the Gullah Geechee has a whole community down there that you know, a lot of our people live upon. And they came from off the plantation, they came from the Caribbean, and there's a lot of rich history about what occurred when we were on that plantation, what occurred through the transatlantic slave trade, what occurred from the migration from the Caribbean up to the United States. Contrary to popular belief, us in the United States that are products of the transatlantic slave trade, we didn't come directly from Alkebulan or Africa, as is incorrectly stated, but we came to the Caribbean first. And then from the Caribbean, we were dispersed up to the United States. Now, all you got to do, if you got some funds or time to do it, go to the Caribbean, go to Jamaica, go to Haiti, go to Colombia, go to Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. And when you go down there, those people will definitely inform you that they came from the land that's called Alkebulan. They will let you know that they came from that location, what some people call Africa. They will let you know that their ancestry came from there. So arguments about, oh, we didn't come from Alkebulan, we didn't come from Africa, we was already over here. Go down to the Caribbean and find out what your ancestors say about the migration of you coming up to the United States and about how they came from Alkebulan.
No, that's a great point, Elder. I got something pulled up on the Gullah Geechee people. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and just do what you do. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And let me know if you can actually see this. Can you see this, Elder?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, cool. All right. All praise to the Most High. So it says Gullah Geechee culture. The Gullah Geechee culture is a vibrant and rich tapestry of African heritage, deeply rooted in the history of the transatlantic slave trade and the resilience of enslaved West Africans. This culture is characterized by its unique language, crafts, music, and storytelling traditions, which have been preserved through generations. The Gullah language, an English-based Creole, incorporates many African loan words and has been influenced by African languages in grammar and sentence structure. Gullah crafts, farming and fishing traditions, folk beliefs, music, rice-based cuisine, and storytelling traditions all exhibit strong influences from Central and West African cultures. And you know what's crazy about this, Elder, is that, you know what I'm saying, you got shows that a lot of our children grew up on, as far as like Gullah Island, you know what I mean, things of that nature. Would that be referring to more of the Geechee type people? Because I remember watching that show when I was younger, You know what I'm saying? And they were on an island, you know what I'm saying? And they had a lot of culture as far as what we're reading here, as far as crafts, music, storytelling, right? And also a unique language as far as dealing with their dialect. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and the Geechee people also will have a lot of residue of them in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, all of those southern coastal states. The Geechee people were prominent at. And when you get to South Carolina, they actually had a community that they revived, and it's rich in what they call African or Alkebulan culture. And none of those people are saying we were here before the European got here. Now, not taking away that there were some Black people in the United States prior to the European. But one of the things that we have to be aware of is
like my people, Elder, you feel me?
not all Black people are, not all colored people of color are the same. You got Hamitic people and you got Shemitic people. There are records to suggest that a lot of Hamitic people came over here 1,500 years before the European and had settled here. But does that mean that the Shemitic people came over here? It might have been some, but we can't lump all people of color in the same basket, just like you can't lump all white people in the same basket. You got the Caucasian, you got the Anglo-Saxon, you have the Slavic, you have the Germanic, you got the Brits, just to name a few. Those are different quote unquote white clans that come out of Yafat. Okay. But they're not ethnic concerning ethnicity. They don't carry the same ethnicity. They say they carry the same bloodline, but different ethnicities, which developed into different nations.
And Shalom, you know what I'm saying, to Issachar made Tihano, you know what I'm saying, Tihano in the building.
Yeah.
Shalom, sorry for being late. You right on time. So Elder, what else you got cooking? You know what I'm saying, over there on the ones and twos for us today, you know what I'm saying? Because I got some stuff cooking, but what you showing right now, Elder, is going to line up exactly with what I want to show. So I want to continue to see what you got.
All right. Well, so I don't know if everybody's aware of what transpired this weekend, but there was a massive protest across the United States called No Kings Protest. And I'm going to play a little bit of excerpts from that. I witnessed some of that myself here in Michigan as I was driving about. They were all in the streets, family. So
while you do that, Elder, I'm going to pull up an old video of mine. You know what I'm saying? When there was a No Kings protest in Seattle. Go ahead.
America.
All right.
And this reactionary nightmare and these invasions of American cities will not stand.
I'm here because I'm worried about my children and my grandchildren. I'm tired. We're exhausted. This brings me hope. I have so much hope here. And we can change this. Our government is not going to do it. It has to be we the people.
What we provide.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Hold on, go back, Elder. Go back a little bit. Why are they dancing to Billie Jean? I know that song when I hear
it. And we call this part of the Mock and Awe tour. And that's really
hold on, push pause, Elder. Elder, what's going on? Elder, what's going on here, man?
Hey, look.
What is lice? What is it? Lice? Is that what it says?
Yeah, I don't know. You know,
and they dancing to Billie Jean. Doom, doom.
Right, they are. You know, they were out there in rare form this weekend. Some of everybody from the LGBTQ to the left wing, the right wing, the Republican, the Democrat, they was all out there in protest to this war. And so they came out there in all kind of forms of expression. I mean, right here in Michigan, They were just it was literally thousands of people in the street. I had never seen that before.
Wait, so this is in your state?
Well, not this video, but that video was captured right here somewhere else. But in Michigan, they had all kinds of protests similar to this, similar to what you're seeing right now. Yeah,
gotcha.
So it was wild, pretty wild.
And making fun of it, which they hate, and that's what we're doing.
And no one, not the bully in chief, not the racist in chief, not the wannabe king, no one is above the law. They want us to be afraid that there's nothing we can do to stop them. But you know what? They are wrong, dead wrong, because we know better. Millions of us are not afraid to know our rights and exercise them, to stand up for each other and our hard-fought freedoms.
So this kind of protest again. Yeah, this was in all the major cities across the United States. This past Saturday, they were out there in rare form, and they were protesting against the issue, the war that we got going on in Iran, the war that we had, our support of what's going on with Palestine, and also how we support the United States supports the Israeli government no matter what. And they were out there in protest against what the president did against the president of Venezuela. All his erratic statements, they were out there in rare form this weekend. So what we're looking at is a meltdown. So we have these external pressures outside the United States that the United States create for themselves. Then it also has this internal pressure inside the structure with the American people that's causing the meltdown as well.
Got you. Elder, real quick, I want to share a verse real quick, and then I'm gonna share my little experience with the King protest, like for a few minutes, you know what I'm saying, before we get to the next video. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, if that's cool with you. Just go ahead and stay where you're at. You're good. So check this out, y'all. This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at, you guys see this? Start at verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Almighty." And so I've been bringing this out a lot, Elder, as far as what we've been seeing over the past couple of years, really over the last 3 years, and how a lot of these other nations are tired, of the wickedness, which is why you played that video on how you got this No Kings protest to where, they're tired of what you would call tyrants, you know what I'm saying, that are in presidential type positions. They're trying to get rid of Trump because he's been acting like a tyrant, right? Just doing whatever that he wants to do. And it's the Most High who's the one who's stirring up these spirits, right, in these leaders to cause the weak, right, to finally wake up and say, you know what, I am strong. I do have a voice. I do need to speak against this. And so not only are we seeing this amongst us as a people, right, because it starts with us first, because let's keep it real. Us as Yasharala, we've been ringing the bell for years. We can go down the line. So now you're starting to see the other nations that are doing the same thing. And I just think that you know what I'm saying, is a sign for us, elders, to let us know, you know what I'm saying, that the Most High has not turned his back on us. So we had a No Kings protest live in Seattle. I want to say this was about 5 months ago. I'm not going to play the whole video. It's only 6 minutes, but this was my little experience with it.
All right, y'all. So it's another day. I usually come out here and I teach, you know what I'm saying, about every single week for the past, I want to say about almost 4 years now, out here in Seattle. And of course, we got an abolished ICE, you know what I'm saying, protest. So we out here, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go ahead and cross the street over here, see what's going on. So we're gonna have a little conversation with these ladies right here with the American flag and see what's going on. See how they feel. You know what I'm saying? How you guys feeling? You guys out here to supporting, right? To abolish ICE? Absolutely, right? You know what's crazy is that since ICE actually happened, that a lot of agriculture and a lot of things are not being grown as far as like the plants and the people who are working in the fields and things of that nature. And so, you know, it just shows a lot of division. Would you say that there's a lot of division here in America? A lot, right? So what do you think should be done about it?
Get rid of Trump.
Get rid of Trump, right?
You see that?
Oh man, they didn't hold it up. They said get rid of Trump.
I'm done. I just wanted to share that part. It was a lot of wild. Y'all go check that out. You know what I'm saying? That's on the page. You know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of wild stuff that was going on. I got a lot of people's, you know what I'm saying, opinions that day, but they had a No Kings protest, you know what I'm saying? And just like the video you showed, Elder, where you had people dressed up like lice, I guess they look like, I don't know. Hey, Elder, you ever seen that movie that came out? It's with Bruce Willis, Chris Tucker, The Fifth Element.
Yeah. You
remember them? You remember them weird robots, man, that had them long noses that walk like this, that actually had the water, the fire, you know what I'm saying, the element, you know what I'm talking about?
I remember that. Yeah.
The video you played with the lice, that's exactly what they look like.
It remind you of that. I can see that.
And then they going right and left, you know what I'm saying, dancing to Billie Jean, you know, or whatever it was.
Right.
And they literally doing the same movement and walking the same way how it was in that movie. I just had to throw that out there. That's crazy. Nah, but you got it, Elder. You got it. You back on. You got it. What we got next, man?
All right, I'm gonna play another little excerpt from a little bit of this No Kings protest. This was in, I'm not sure what state.
That was from the massive No Kings protest in Washington, D.C., folks. Millions of Americans and millions of people across the world showed up at No Kings protests, protesting Donald Trump and his despicable regime. We're waiting for the official numbers, but folks, the protests were absolutely massive. I attended my local No Kings protest. It was so great to see all of y'all out there. Let me just show you some of the images of these No Kings protests. And folks, this is Donald Trump's nightmare right here, when the people go out and make their presence felt, and shoulder to shoulder across the world, we say no to Donald Trump and this despicable regime. Look at this massive crowd that gathered in Boston, Massachusetts. Huge crowd there.
Woo!
Take massive crowd that gathered in Chicago, Illinois.
Woo!
Worked with Status Coup. We were on the ground in Chicago, as you know. Separately, we were on the ground in Minnesota. Our live stream had tens of thousands of people watching in unison. It'll probably have over 1 million to probably 2 million views when all is said and done right there. But look at this massive crowd in Chicago. I'll show you more of that in a moment. You got this massive crowd right here in Philadelphia. Shout out to all the Midas Philly folk out there. Take a look at San Francisco, California, where once again they formed a massive human sign on Ocean Beach reading "Trump must go now." Shout out Ryan Curry in the San Francisco.
Go back. Can you go back to that
incredible image? They
Don't
Midas Philly folk out there. Take a look at San Francisco, California.
Right there.
Once again, they formed a massive human sign on Ocean Beach reading "Trump must go now." Shout out Ryan Curry in the San Francisco Chronicle.
Now think about that. They assembled themselves in mass number and formed them. See, did we see any of this on mainstream media?
No.
No,
we did not. That is a great,
you know, and see, this goes along with what Trump said a few weeks ago. He said that if the media was putting out any kind of messages or news that was what he called anti-American or anti his form of government, that the media was not supposed to show it. So this is wild. This is wild. I mean, what are we gonna do with Trump on this point?
For capturing that incredible image. They do great work there. Look at the No Kings protesters right here in Madison, Wisconsin. We see you, Madison. The No Kings protest in Lansing, Michigan. We see you, Michigan. The No Kings protesters in Nashville, Tennessee. Shout out, Tennessee. The No Kings protest in Buffalo, New York. The No Kings protesters in Washington, D.C. The No Kings protesters in West Palm Beach, Florida, who just elected a new House district representative there in a plus 11.
Did they have a sign that said F Trump?
Yes. That's what I was laughing at. I'll just
Trump district who is,
right
is a Democrat right now. That district flipped Democrat, a plus 25 to plus 30% over performance right there. Incredible. Take a look at the No Kings protesters in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Shout out there. The Villages in Florida. Folks, even a huge crowd gathered in London, England for a protest there. And I love the ingenious signs like this one right here. Send Barron. Do your part. Absolutely. Get Barron in that war in Iran. That's what should really be going down right now. And folks, take a look right here. The massive flagship protest for this No Kings, Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Midas Touch Network had our camera crew as well. Our camera crew, thanks to all of your support, is all across the country. And again, shout out to the folks at Status Coup, because
I just wanted our viewers to see that. This is live. What did they say back in the day? The revolution will not be televised.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
yeah.
Well, look.
Who said that, by the way? I forgot. Who said that?
I know Iman Haddour gonna put his name in here, but I forgot his name. But nonetheless, the thing about that is the government under Trump's regime, they're not allowing this kind of thing to be televised, but it's coming out. It's coming out anyway. So as we continue to look at, I got a few more videos in reference to what's been going on. Let me go and pick another one here.
Yeah. You on the ones and twos. You on your grind right now. You know what I'm saying, Elder? Elder's in the groove right now, y'all. Put them ones in the chat for Elder, because he definitely in the groove right now. You
oh man,
where are you gonna get real news?
The war in West Asia is
hey, where you gonna get this news at? You're not gonna get it on the syndicated news, right?
Right.
Yo,
you gonna get it here and let the Truth Be Told podcast, y'all.
The Houthis have now entered this equation, openly backing Iran and warning of military action. Yemen's Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi has issued a direct warning. He says that his forces are ready to respond militarily as this war intensifies. And he declared full support for Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine, making it clear that all options militarily are now on the table, further urging Yemenis to remain prepared and on an alert. Now, this is a significant escalation, remember, because the Houthis control the strategic waterways and have already demonstrated their ability to disrupt global shipping in the past. Their entry could open a new front in this war, potentially dragging the Red Sea into the battlefield. Even as the world reels from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, potentially signaling they're even ready to hit Saudi Arabia, the U.S. in the battle for Red Sea. That's the big question. Is it going to happen? Now remember, Hezbollah in Lebanon is already active. So are militias in Iraq. The bigger question now is if these groups, along with the Houthis, coordinate their attacks like Hezbollah in Iran have been, could this war spread even further? Now, even as that threat looms, the divide between the West and the US continues to grow further. In the latest, in a post on social media, American President Donald Trump has called NATO as cowards, also saying that without the support of
Now, Trump is in his rare form as always. He calls all the NATO leadership cowards, okay? You know, and because they won't back him, they won't join in the fight. So now they're cowards.
But this is the thing, Elder. Why would they back him? We got to keep it real. You have Russia that literally controls about 20% to 25%, you know what I'm saying, of the actual like energy as far as dealing with power. And then you have, like I was saying before in last episode, you have the Strait of Hormuz, which is every landmass around that area controls the 20 to 25% of the world's oil, you know what I'm saying, and gas supply. So with Trump and, you know what I'm saying, in America, along with Israel, let's just keep it real, right? It's Israel, because we're in trillions of dollars of debt with Israel. So whatever Netanyahu, right, is going to say that we got to do to Trump, because Trump, you know what I'm saying, he's trying to get out of debt and think he can get out of debt by just doing what he says. Whatever Netanyahu says, they're going to do. And so the thing is that now, right, Iran, even Russia, right, Vladimir Putin, he put it out there and said that, look, we're looking to shut down the energy source, right, for all of Europe. And we're only going to supply energy source for those who basically are in allegiance with us. And then you had Iran that closed down the Strait of Hormuz with their military structure. As you were showing in the video, these guys have been training on the ground since birth, right? While America, you know what I'm saying, we got transgenders. Let me watch my language. We got transformers, you know what I'm saying, in the military. And you really think that you're going to hold up against those who've been training on the ground? Let's just keep it 100. So Trump sits there and says that and makes an excuse after he backed out. Let's just keep it real, because that's the title of this video. Trump's backed out of his threat and he reneged. Let's just keep it real. So instead of you admitting that you were afraid and that you realize that America does not have, you may have all this military structure and bases and, you know, and personnel and things of that nature, but you don't have men. All the men, you know what I'm saying, that are living in America have been, what's the word? They're like females when it comes to real war. You understand?
They've been demasculated.
That's the word. That's exactly the word I was looking for. So now, right, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed, Iran put it out there and said, no, we're closing this. You know what I'm saying? Israel and America and anybody that's affiliated with them are not going to have access, you know what I'm saying, to this 25% of oil that we're supplying to the entire earth, right? So now, but there are still other European countries, right, that are in cahoots with Iran, that are in cahoots with America, part of NATO. And they're sitting back looking like, well, Iran ain't mad at us. We wasn't the one that sent the attack and made up some lie like y'all did, you know what I'm saying? So why should we sit there and help you out, America? Because if we try to help you out, we over here. This is going to affect our oil. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, one of the things, I think I said this on one of our previous shows. When you think about it, you got this issue with Iran. All at the same time, the Epstein files has come out. And you got to remember, Trump, we seen old photos of Trump with Epstein. We seen old photos with Bill and Hillary Clinton with Epstein. We've seen all kinds of political figures with Epstein. The word on the street is that the Zionists, Netanyahu, have the gig up on Trump, meaning that Trump, if you don't come over here and get involved with this war, we're going to expose you. If y'all remember, when Trump ran on his political campaign, he said he was going to be a president of peace. As a matter of fact, he said that he was not going to be given a blanket card of financial support to Israel. But what do we see? The exact opposite. The exact opposite. Somebody pulled his coattail, y'all, there's a banana in the tailpipe somewhere, and they definitely got Trump by the short and curlies, and so he had to go out there and put his best foot forward and putting his foot in his mouth all along the way. And when we speak about Iran has seen over the years the strategy of the United States. When the United States dealt with Saudi Arabia, when they dealt with Iraq, when they dealt with Libya and Muammar Gaddafi, when they dealt with all the Arabic regimes, they seen and watched how they moved. Because what the United States did was play chess with each one of them. Whichever one gave the United States the biggest latitude, the United States brought them in. Didn't, they put them on the outside, and they caused a feud amongst the Arabic world. And so what they did was systematically break down the connections within the Arabic world. So they think. But I'm game to believe that there are some connections still there. As when we watch syndicated news in the United States, we don't hear the full story about what's really going on. We hear what they want us to believe in the United States. We hear what they want us to formulate an opinion about that's pro-United States over here. That's what they want us to do. But in reality, there's a different message going on. If you go watch Al Jazeera, you can put it up on YouTube. It will give you blow by blow more of an accurate account of what's really going on. So as I think about the strategy in this whole thing, Iran got the chess piece.
Right.
They controlling the strait. They can say they can be outnumbered militarily. They can have their military, their air force can be destroyed. Their navy can be destroyed. But Iran has been studying the footprint of the United States for over 30 years, and they have entrenched themselves in this position. They know if they hold out and don't allow anybody to get in and get oil, that's going to cause all kind of pocket catastrophes across the globe. And you're going to have countries that say, hey, look, United States, y'all need to get y'all stuff together, or we're going to have to come in. Something going to have to happen because y'all going to have to stop doing this. That's how escalating to a world war, because now the United States, the skirt is being lifted. Because what real reason y'all over there in the first place for? What is the real reason why Trump sent troops over there to Iran in the first place? Nobody asked that real question. What was the threat to the United States? They're gonna say, oh, their ability to make nuclear bombs.
Nuclear whip. They don't have them. When we're looking at all the attacks, Elder, even with what you've been playing, those are just regular missiles.
Right. And here's the thing. Who got the ability to attack somebody with a nuclear weapon? The United States, Israel. They have the ability to do that, not Iran. So why y'all picking on somebody who don't have the capacity to do that? That question
I think a lot of it
asked.
You think some of that has to do as far as that question, right? You think maybe that Russia and China, because we know that China has definitely been, China is number one when it comes to technology right now. And we know that Iran doesn't have the ICBM type missiles, right, to wipe out an entire state. But we do know that America has them. We do know that Israel has them. China also has them too. They got them named. You know what I'm saying? Moab is named Moab out of all names. You have Russia that also has them as well, named Satan 1 and Satan 2. Now, this is what they claim, though, Elder. We haven't seen it, right? We haven't seen it actually be issued out, which was kind of going into, if you remember last week, there was a brother, Campster Mill, in the chat who had just retired from the military and was saying that I don't think that anybody has any type of nuclear type of weapons that can just wipe out a whole world. That is propaganda. So we've been hearing a lot of nuclear. This country has nuclear destruction. This country has nuclear type, you know what I'm saying, destruction when it comes to their weapons. But we haven't seen any proof, Elder. We haven't nor have we seen anything be issued out. We've seen atomic bombs, right? We've seen bombs that issue out gas that, you know what I'm saying, can affect everybody's, you know what I'm saying, physical system. But as far as like a ICBM that just wipes out the entire state, we haven't seen that yet.
Well, you know, and the thing about it is that so the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb are forms of nuclear bombs, but when it comes to when you think about this, the kind of nuclear weapons that they are purporting that countries that's anti-West or anti-European that they shouldn't have, these kinds of nuclear weapons that they're suggesting would be weapons that if no matter where you drop it in the earth, that's like if the United States drops a particular nuclear bomb on Iran. Do you know that that whole continent over there, not just the Middle East, but Europe and Asia and everybody will experience a nuclear fallout wave. So if we're not familiar from an engineering standpoint of nuclear energy has a half-life. Depending on the kind of bomb that it drops, it could have a half-life of 1,000 years, a half-life of 15,000 years or 20,000 years. That means every 1,000 year, what that half-life boundary is, half of the nuclear energy goes away. So that nuclear radiation, if you drop that kind of bomb, you really being destructive to the whole world. So what's the purpose of dropping that kind of bomb? Because you're really cutting your own throat eventually.
Exactly.
You're gonna destroy all kind of things in the atmosphere if you drop that kind of bomb. Now they got intercontinental ballistic missiles that some countries have them that they can shoot them like from Russia and reach the United States. Like the United States can shoot some from here and from some other posts and target other countries. But some countries like Iran, they could be strategic in striking the Israelis and other people within that area, but they don't have the ability to send those bombs to strike the United States. So where is the threat to the United States? Now they're going to say,
let's be real, Elder. I don't mean to cut you off. Let's be real, Elder. The threat is what you were showing and what America is not reporting. The ground war. They know that we cannot beat Iran in a ground war when they've been training these guys, and the whole landmass of Iran is surrounded by mountains. So just the landmass alone, we are at a disadvantage here in America as far as trying to attack them. But I just had to throw that in there. But go ahead.
You're absolutely correct. If we engage, and I got a video about the Marines being deployed over there, but if we engage in a ground frontal assault, here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of casualties. There's going to be a lot of sons and daughters from the United States that's sent home or not sent home and just buried over there until later on, because the media in the United States is not going to tell you the truth. One, they're not going to know because the military is not going to be releasing the true casualty rate because of the gag order that Trump is going to have on the media. If that happens, right now they're saying there's only 13 Americans in the military that died over there. Do we believe that?
No, because that's what they reporting. Because what Elder they said at first they said 6, then they jumped to the 13, right? As far as actual casualties, but over 300 were injured severely. So let's be real here, right? We know it's way more than 13. And you look at past wars and stuff like that, they've always lied to us as far as the American civilians, if you want to put it, quote unquote. They've always lied to us about the casualties that's been lost with World War II. I mean, World War I, Civil War. We can go down the list, but go ahead.
Absolutely. You know, if we believe that there's only 13 Americans in the military that was killed, that goes with people believing that a big fat 300-pound white man can jump down a chimney of every house in the world within a few hours and deliver gifts to everybody across the world. If you look at only 13
ho ho ho, Merry Christmas.
Right. And if we believe that a bunny rabbit can lay eggs like they about to do on Easter, then we can believe there's 13 Americans that got killed. Only. You know,
Right.
I've never seen a bunny rabbit lay eggs, family. But we getting ready to see that occur on this so-called holiday that's getting ready to come up in a minute.
He said we get ready to see that occur.
They're gonna have Easter egg hunts and talk about the bunny rabbit laying eggs all across the United States in the next week. You know, we all grew up with that. I remember seeing commercials with the rabbit hopping and then the egg is out.
Earth Healing Angel says Santa needs Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers.
Hey,
right, you try to climb down a chimney. He got a big ass belly. He getting stuck in the chimney. Let's be real, man.
Hey, he riding on the ICBM to travel to different countries to drop off these gifts. That's what he doing. You know, I know we making fun of it, but it's we gotta really pay attention to what's going on. I mean, we've been fed all these lies and hypocrisies for all these years, and we believe everything that the United States media say, and that's just a tragedy. I'm gonna go to another video, family. I got a couple.
Go
of
ahead. No, I'm enjoying it. Trust me. All
Here
these
we go.
videos you playing, I ain't seen yet, so I'm over here like everybody else in the chat.
Edging closer to boots on the ground, the US Central Command confirmed Saturday on X that the USS Tripoli, usually based in Japan, has arrived in the Middle East. The amphibious assault ship is the flagship for a contingent of 3,500 Marines and sailors. Saturday, the Washington Post reported the Pentagon is preparing for weeks of ground operations, though Donald Trump is yet to approve the deployment. According to the report, ground operations would not constitute a full invasion force. Instead, special forces and amphibious assault troops would likely target strategic islands in the Persian Gulf, such as Karg Island, a key node in Iran's oil industry, seen by some as a potential way to pressure the Iranian regime. Though US officials have refused to be drawn on any plans for a ground invasion.
In terms of why there's deployments, number one, the president has to be prepared for multiple contingencies, which I'm not going to discuss in the media. And again, I refer you to the Department of War, who will probably tell you the exact same thing. But we can achieve all of our objectives without ground troops, but we are always going to be prepared to give the president maximum optionality and maximum opportunity to adjust to contingencies should they emerge.
US media reports say Trump is considering sending 1,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne Division to the region. They specialize in the ability to deploy and parachute into war zones at short notice. The Pentagon has not confirmed their deployment.
Hey, Elder, looking at how they got on the ground compared to the other video that you showed of like the thousands of Iranian soldiers, we just not ready.
Right, we're not ready.
We're just not ready, Elder. It's over with. And you see how Marco Rubio literally dismissed his question. Well, I'm not gonna go into it, you know what I'm saying, in detail, but let me just tell you this, that such and such and such, and this is what they do, Elder. They don't want to go into the truth, and then they just hit us with a bunch of lies. It's just like real quick, I'm gonna bring this out real quick. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna bring out one scripture just real quick.
Go ahead.
Let me share my screen. So this is the book of, I'm gonna get the book of Psalms, one of my favorites. Psalms chapter 55, verse 21. I believe that's what I want. So this is Psalms chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And like my brother Phineas said, Elder, I need you to break that down. Take us to the gun line, boss.
All right, it says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. So remember, family, the scripture says death and life is in the power of the what? Tongue. Right? It says his words, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. So that gets back into, you have a wolf in sheep's clothing. They're appearing to be something outwardly, but inside, they're destructive. It says his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So that means that he's speaking peace to you in the front, but in the back end, it's all kind of daggers and knives out there on the table. That means that they're saying that if the Green Berets or the Black Ops, trust and believe, they've all been over there already. They've been over there for months. They was over there before the United States and Israel bombed Iran. They were already over there. You know that because they go over there and suggest and pinpoint targets. That's what they do. So they've been over there. So to say that there's a minimum force over there that we just deployed would be a big lie. They already been over there, family. They already been in cahoots on the ground with the Israelis for a long time, setting up their war field on how they're going to bomb and destroy certain targets. But apparently, the target that they picked for that school was off. You know how Trump said that it was Iran who bombed their own school? You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I got that video in here too. Let me see.
Yeah, you gotta play that. I'm trying to see that. Trump.
Here we go. I'm gonna play a couple excerpts from a couple of those. Let's see.
And shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat for y'all being engaged in the chat. I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? If you guys haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button.
Around 100 graves being dug
video.
after an elementary school was hit in a town called Minab in southern Iran. You can see excavators there, workmen digging. The graves that are marked out to be dug, these were mostly children. On Saturday morning, when the US and Israel started its attacks on Iran, our colleagues got in touch with us and said there were reports of a school being hit. After the attack, disinformation started to swirl. There were denials online that the US or Israel was responsible. The question was,
I'm sorry.
This is the result of the single deadliest known attack in this war so far. This aerial image shows around 100 graves being dug after an elementary school
Whenever
was
you want to
hit
pause
in
it,
a town
just
called
click.
Minab in southern Iran. You can see excavators there, workmen digging. The graves that are marked out to be dug, these were mostly children. On Saturday morning, when the US and Israel started its attacks on Iran, our colleagues got in touch with us and said there were reports of a school being hit. After the attack, disinformation started to swirl. There were denials online that the US or Israel was responsible. The question was, could we verify what happened? The first videos that emerged after the strike show these massive plumes of smoke over Minab, what was being described as the school building that had been destroyed, and children under the rubble. The challenge there is to verify that this building is in fact a school. There were reports that it was near a military base of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So we started looking for military bases in that area, found one that had been bombed, and adjacent to that military base was the school. We were able to match the architectural features of the school, the contours of the building, the size of it, with satellite imagery. Going back over historic satellite imagery, we could see that the building that the school is in was part of the IRGC compound in 2013. But by September 2016, it had been cordoned off into its own compound. There was a play area. You could see the bright pastel colors of the school walls, and it very clearly became a school and wasn't part of the IRGC base. What we can see in the satellite imagery and the images from the ground is that more than half the building is gone. A very powerful explosion. A precision strike is required to do that. It's not secondary damage from a strike nearby. A precision strike is where an army will take the coordinates of a target, input that into their targeting system, or visually identify a target and lock onto it. We can see in the satellite imagery precision strikes that destroyed buildings or punched holes in the roofs of those buildings very precisely. Our reporting has shown this is characteristic of Israeli and US strikes. So far, the US hasn't confirmed or denied responsibility for the strike on the school. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said,
"We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that."
At the same briefing, Dan.
So, trust and believe, the United States know what they struck.
Right.
So when they say that we're looking into it, that means you complicit. You say we're looking into to see what we struck. Now that means
you know that's in their nature, Elder. You know what I'm saying? They don't regard the old, the young, none of them. You know what I mean? They had to know that school was literally adjacent, literally right across the street from that military base, which means that school is actually inside of that military base. So it was clearly a military school, right, for military dependents to not have to go outside of the base to go to like what you would call a public school. And they said that half of that building, right, from that hit was removed. But when you actually looked at it, it was way more than half of that building. There was like maybe 3/4, I don't know. I don't know, a fourth of that building left. They got way more than half.
They say that at least 140 to 150 children got killed in that strike. You know, I got another video that shows a little bit more about that, and this is from CNN.
All praise to the Most High. And him alone.
The new video appears to show a U.S. airstrike on an Iranian military base right next to the elementary school where Iranian state media says more than 160 girls were killed. CNN's Isabel Young looks at the video and the evidence that suggests the U.S. may be responsible for that strike on the school.
This is the moment a missile slammed into an Iranian base in Minab, a city in southern Iran, just over a week ago. In this freeze frame, you can see it clearly. Weapons experts tell CNN the wings and tail are consistent with a Tomahawk missile. This new video is the clearest evidence yet that suggests it was the United States that struck an elementary school next to that Revolutionary Guards base, killing scores of students. The US has been firing those Tomahawk missiles at Iran from ships and submarines for more than a week now. Israel doesn't use them, experts tell us.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 170?
No, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Nixon? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Iran also doesn't use Tomahawk missiles. And using satellite images, it's clear the school was struck nearly simultaneously.
So
I'm sorry. He's something else.
Look,
in my opinion, no, we did not bomb them, but it was done by Iran. China did it. And they did it very well. Very well, I tell you. I think very strongly on this. This guy is something else, bro.
Why would Iran bomb their own school and within their own land?
Right.
What kind of sense does that make?
That would start their own civil war if they did that. Come on.
Right. That's wild.
Simultaneously with strikes on an adjacent Revolutionary Guards base. That suggests...
And real quick, before you push play again, you know what I'm saying? And understand, y'all, you know what I mean, is that, you know, the Most High does not take pleasure, you know, in the destruction of the wicked. Y'all have to understand that. You know what I'm saying? This, not saying that what's going on right now, you know what I'm saying, these are wicked people. But what I'm saying is that unfortunately, when you're dealing with a wicked regime, a lot of people are caught into that, you know what I'm saying, and they end up, you know what I'm saying, becoming casualties, even though the fact that they're not living wickedly. And this is why that the Most High has to literally, you know what I'm saying, create a righteous government, because of what we're seeing right here. We're talking about a elementary school. And I know you guys have heard about this, but they talked about it for like what, one day, Elder, and then just didn't talk about it again. Like this wasn't big. Let's just be real. This, as far as the attack from America and Israel, and we know that's coming from them, right? This was probably the most egregious because there were children involved. So, hey, man, this is crazy.
Exactly.
You got it.
Precision targeting. CNN geolocated this video. We think this missile struck the military base, not the school. You can see that other buildings in the direction of the school had just been struck when this was filmed. CNN is still trying to gather visual evidence from the ground, and until we see actual remnants from the munitions itself, it's impossible to be definitive. But this is the clearest evidence to date. US Central Command says they're still investigating. Isabel Young, CNN, London.
In response to CNN's findings, a US military spokesperson said it would be inappropriate to comment given the incident is still under investigation.
For more on this, let's bring in U.S. Army retired Lieutenant General Mark Schwartz. He also serves as a CNN military analyst. Thank you so much, General, for joining us. Listen, we know that accidents, tragedies happen in war. No one is accusing the United States, at least no serious person, if the United States was behind the strike, of doing this deliberately or intentionally. But of course, that is how Iran is spinning it right now, despite the fact that they themselves have thousands of lives in terms of blood on their hands. But from what you're seeing from Pete Hegseth and how the United States is responding to this thus far, does that bring you or give you any cause for concern? What should be the appropriate response aside from we're conducting investigation?
Well, I think that what is happening now, Central Command is certainly doing, an intensive investigation. I've personally been involved with these of potential civilian casualty, occurring or allegations, and gone through that entire investigative process. It does take some time, and as it was reported right before I came on, we don't have the benefit of actually doing on-the-ground battle damage assessment to look at the shrapnel to, and actually assess the type of munition. But, based on what has been put out thus far, and you see the precision fire that came into all those structures around the girls' school, it is consistent with the types of targeting and weaponeering that we do and have done in the past, we being the United States.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about all of this. The United States has came out and said that there's been, I think, over 1,500 Iranians that have died in this conflict, only 13 U.S. So how could you have those kind of numbers knowing how many Iranians have died and you don't know what you struck?
Here's a better question, Elder. How can you put out those numbers and say that 13 Americans died, right? But over 1,500 or 1,300 Iranians died, but yet our oil prices, you know what I'm saying, and our gas prices right now is at literally $6 a gallon.
Right. Right. This is wild. I'm gonna play a little bit more of this.
And then after you play this, I got something I want to play too that goes right along with this. After you get done playing this.
Okay. All right.
So I do think it's important, to allow for the investigation process to take place, and as important, the transparency once the investigation is concluded is extremely important. I think the quick response by the president after the dignified transfer ceremony on Air Force One the other day with the secretary in the background, I think the point was being made, hey, we don't deliberately target civilians, and we don't. Certainly, it's not part of our rules of engagement in any circumstance. But I do think it's quick to say that it wasn't us. We owe that due diligence that we typically do in the United States military. So I think it's good that we're still looking at this and keeping this, at the forefront, given everything else that's been going on over the course of the last week.
You got it, Zara. I just wanted to show the viewers on how when it comes to the technology that we supposedly have and our military superiority, you can tell us how many people that you killed but you can't tell us if you hit that school.
That's facts.
Go ahead.
That's facts. So look, so Myron, yeah, shout out, you know what I'm saying, to Myron Gaines. I know y'all in the chat don't like Myron Gaines. This is my guy. I don't care what nobody say. So he had an interview with a former CIA analyst. His name is Larry Johnson. And we're going to hear from a CIA analyst himself break down the war as far as exactly what's going on. Because everything that we've been saying, Elder, right, and what we've been warning the chat as far as don't listen to fake news and fake media because they're pushing out propaganda to make it seem as if they're winning the war. That's not what's going on. So let's hear what Larry Johnson has to say about this.
Scripted exercises for the Joint Special Operations Command. U.S. Special Operations Forces.
For the people that don't know, can you explain what that is for those that might not know what that is?
Yeah, it's based at Fort Bragg, and it oversees Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, Task Force 160, which are the Night Stalkers helicopters, and a number of other actually classified units. Those used to be classified units, but now they've been all over television and movies.
With the internet too.
Yeah. And so I did a number of exercises. My job was to script the State Department messages, simulating as if Secretary of State was sending a message out or some ambassador was sending a message back to state. And then it was all designed to test, create scenarios where the U.S. military, Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 would have to deploy to a particular location and carry out an operation. So I did that. And I also did product counterfeiting investigation overseas, money laundering investigations. So I've done a variety of things.
Gotcha.
And now I spend most of my time as a firearms instructor.
Okay. Nice. So obviously right now, we're in a very pivotal moment in American and Middle Eastern history for that matter. Some crazy things have happened over the past few weeks with the conflict with Iran. And I know obviously you've been in the government for a while ago, and even back in the 80s,
right.
They were trying to start something with Iran. So I'll kind of just turn it to you. What are your thoughts on Iran in general? What are your thoughts on the conflict, how Trump is handling it?
Listen to this.
And you can kind of just go and break it down however you feel.
Iran has gotten a very bad rap from the beginning. We're always told that they're the number one sponsor of terrorism. They are not by nowhere close, not even in the ballpark. Mm-hmm. So that's lie number one. Lie number two is they've killed thousands of Americans. Also not true. The thing that, I hear a lot of Americans say, well, God, they chant death to America. What have we done to them? Well, let me tell you. So, we overthrew a democratically elected government in 1954 with Teddy Roosevelt's son, Kermit, not the frog, Kermit Roosevelt, installed the Shah, who ran a pretty brutal regime. And he was overthrown by a popular uprising. It was not organized by CIA. In fact, that's sort of what is CIA off all of these years, that the people actually rose up, threw out the Shah, and established an Islamic Republic. So then a group of students, they got mad at the United States when we took the Shah of Iran in California. And so they captured our embassy in Tehran, took a bunch of people hostage. And I knew a couple of them. One named Ann Swift as an example. Unfortunately, she's now dead. And so in September of 1980, Jimmy Carter's president, Zbigniew Brzezinski's his vice president or his national security advisor. And they decided to give Saddam. There's this guy, Saddam Hussein. Don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I have no idea.
He was running Iraq, and they said, "Hey, Saddam, if you want to invade Iran, these new crazy mullahs, you got our backing, buddy." And so Saddam started a war. Ronald Reagan comes in January 81, has a guy working for him named Don Rumsfeld. And Don Rumsfeld travels to Iraq to meet with Saddam Hussein and to offer Saddam Hussein precursor chemicals. Chemicals for what? For making a chemical weapon, a weapon of mass destruction.
Sounds familiar.
And so in August of 1983, Iran, with our assistance, builds its first chemical weapon, launches it against Iran. And then from August of 83 to August of 1988, Iraq launched a total of 20 chemical weapon attacks against Iran. And what did those dastardly mullahs do in Tehran? They did not build a chemical weapon. They did not use chemical weapons in retaliation. They stayed away from it because they viewed it as a sin.
That's key. And that's what I wanted to play right there. Right. We see that the CIA agent, Elder, right, number one, came off top and said, number one, this rumor that's been going around that America and Israel has used, you know what I'm saying, as an excuse to actually attack Iran as far as them having nuclear weapons, he clearly said that that is a lie, right? We're talking about a former CIA agent, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what are we going to say, that he's lying? Then he goes and talks about, you know, in certain events that happened all the way back with Teddy Roosevelt's son, with Kermit Roosevelt, and all the way from the 50s leading up to the 80s, and how you had Saddam Hussein at one point who was with cahoots, you know what I'm saying, with the America regime, and literally, you know what I'm saying, went to attack Iran. Okay. And so since then, you know, there's been a bunch of conflict as far as with anybody that's been linked with America because of this. And then he just comes out and it just basically tells the truth and said that what we've literally been hearing is not the truth. He's literally doubling down on what we've been saying on this podcast, Elder, right? That they are making up excuses just to try to attack them, because at the end of the day, they see that prophecy is fulfilling and they're trying to come with this one world order. What do you think, brother?
I wholeheartedly agree. It's all a scripted movie. And unfortunately, we are more than just the viewers. We're the pawns in the show. And so they've orchestrated all of this. That's why I said from the beginning, you cannot believe mainstream media. It's all syndicated. The agent right here, the former agent right here, confirmed all of that. You know, first and foremost, the United States military, Black Ops, is not going to inform you of what they're doing above ground. That's why it's called Black Ops. That means it's in secret, it's undercover. You know, they're not going to tell you what they're doing. They're not going to tell you that they've been in business of overthrowing regimes for years, as he indicated. They've done that across the globe, all throughout what they call Africa, Akiba line. They've overthrown all kinds of leadership to put in place the kind of leaders that they need or that they want to control for their best interests. So it's no different than what's going on in Iran. It's no different what happened in Iraq or in Saudi Arabia or in Libya. In some places, when they dismantle a government, they just leave it in total disarray and don't do anything. And the reason why they do that is because they can still govern the chaos that they started in a country.
Right.
You know,
makes sense.
It's called order out of chaos. And that's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing for years. So I wholeheartedly agree with why you shared that video and what the guy said in it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All praise to the Most High. I got a few more videos. I got this one to play. If you got anything else, you know what I'm saying, Elder, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and just let me know. This is the last one I wanted to share. I appreciate you guys for rocking with us in the chat. You know what I'm saying, with me and the Elder. You already know what it is. You know what I'm saying. Let the Truth Be Told podcast. Hit that like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. If this is hitting your spirit as far as dealing with this news. But this is breaking news. It says U.S. Marines just received the most devastating letter. Right. This was supposedly in March 28th of 2026, which will be yesterday.
Sent this letter to every single Marine in America, letting them know, start preparing right now because we are about to send you to war. Let your families know, that you are going to war in Iran. And if you're 18 to 45 years old, you should expect a letter like this, even if you have never participated in the military, because the United States is going to send a draft to everyone. United States.
Well, hey, Elder, I got a felony. They ain't letting me hold a gun.
Hey, look.
If they do, it's gonna be illegally.
Hey, I'm former military, but I'm over 50 years old. Y'all can leave me, count me out.
Elder, you still in shape. You know what I'm saying? You Malet's corner, man. What you talking about?
I'm gonna pull out my cane if they send me a letter, though.
Hey man. Hey, look, I'm gonna play retarded. You know, I'm an actor. I'm gonna play retarded. I was
Hey, look, I just have to go to jail. I'm not going over there. Sorry.
You taking the Muhammad Ali route, huh? The
Hey,
Ali route, huh?
absolutely. Absolutely.
See, you gonna be telling them, black folks ain't did nothing to them Iran Kongs.
Right.
Them Iran Kongs didn't do nothing to us, so I'm not doing nothing to them. Now, I feel that, Elder. I feel that.
For real.
All praise to the Most High. Elder, do you got any scriptures, you know what I'm saying, on your spirit, man, before we end up wrapping this up? Or do you got any more videos you want to play?
Let me see. I think I have. Let me see.
Hold on. Let me stop sharing my screen. And let me show you.
Hold on. 1 second. I might have. Let's see. One more. And I'm going to play a little bit of this.
Although neither were involved in those talks in Pakistan, both Iran and the US have each outlined their conditions for ending the war. Tehran is demanding an end to what it calls aggression and targeted assassinations. It's also seeking guarantees against future attacks and reparations for war damages. Tehran is calling for an end to fighting on all fronts, including conflict involving its allied groups, and it wants its sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz recognized. While President Trump's 15-point list hasn't been published, US media leaks do suggest it includes the following: Iran dismantling its nuclear facilities and promising to never develop nuclear weapons. The US is also calling on Iran to limit the range and number of ballistic missiles it has, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and end its support for regional allies. Well, earlier I was joined by Ross Harrison. He's a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C., and also author of Decoding Iran's Foreign Policy, and Sina Tossi, who's a senior fellow at the Center for International Policy. And we spoke about how Donald Trump's past dealings with the Iranians make future negotiations much more difficult.
Trump, famously, he ran in 2024 on a campaign of wanting a deal and wanting to end wars and wanting a deal with Iran and other adversaries, and tried to portray himself as a president of peace. He entered into multiple rounds of negotiations with the Iranians, both earlier in 2025. There were multiple rounds of negotiations that preceded the June 2025 surprise Israeli attack on Iran. Those negotiations fell apart in the aftermath of that war. But they picked up again in January and February of this year in the wake of the protests in Iran, brutal government crackdown, and Trump kind of signaling military escalation. Nevertheless, there were a couple rounds of negotiations, which, according to the mediators, including the Omanis, the Omani mediator, as well as a British national security official who was there, who has written about it, that these negotiations really made progress. And it seems like there was a deal to be had that was stronger than the Obama-era 2015 nuclear deal, wherein Iran would have given up one of its main bargaining chips, which is a stockpile of highly enriched uranium that's currently buried in near central Iran in Esfahan.
And Ross, we are now seeing these talks that have been happening in Islamabad, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia also taking a part for the foreign ministers meeting there. Do you think these talks could lead potentially to talks, whether direct or indirect, to take us to another stage?
Well, eventually, perhaps, Sarah, that it's possible. I think what's important is there's a channel opening up, but I don't think the timing is right for that, because one of the things that I know about Iran is that they believe that anytime they've shown flexibility in terms of willing to meet. So, for example, as Sina mentioned, they met in 2025. They were bombed during the negotiations that took place in Geneva. 2026, the same thing. And there's a history of the Iranians showing flexibility. For example, after 9/11, there was a lot of cooperation between the United States and Iran and Afghanistan. And within 2 months, the Bush administration, George W.
I just want to play a little bit of that the audacity of the government of the United States to want any other country to be laxed on their own sovereignty is atrocious. It's atrocious.
I'm gonna let you finish because I got a lot to say, but that's what I was gonna go into. Oh my
You know, I mean, how could you even fix your mouth to go? Well, Trump showed us everything when they went over to Venezuela and they kidnapped the president and held him under United States law when he didn't do nothing on United States soil. That tells you a lot right there. That tells you a lot right there. From that act alone, if Venezuela had the military might like another country that's much larger than them, first of all, the United States would have done that. Secondly, we would be in a war conflict right now with Venezuela if they had it. So you don't just take somebody's leader and hold them under somebody else's law. This is, I mean, I've never seen anything like this, Zamran. Never in my years on this earth, I've never seen this government do something on this level at all.
That's because the Most High is removing the understanding. You know what I'm saying, from these elites. You know what I'm saying, like we see in Obadiah. So, and what I think is crazy too is that to just kind of double back on what you were saying, is that with this attack on Iran from the likes of Israel, right, and America, you have the Strait of Hormuz still being shut down and only allowing certain countries, you know what I'm saying, and certain, regimes to be able to actually have access to it, right? Do you think because if you look at like what America and what Israel has done as far as their attacks, this affected not only Iran, but it affected also the other cities, the other countries, right, that are surrounded in that Gulf area, okay, where you have the Strait of Hormuz to the oil access. So I do not see at all moving forward the other Gulf countries being okay with America to land their to still have their military bases, to have just to be there at all. So if that video that you showed, if any type of negotiation or agreement is going to come between the Gulf states, the Gulf areas and America, they're going to want Israel and America, period. They're just going to want America to just be completely out of their area. They're going to want America to just not have anything to do with what they got going on. That's the only way that I see that some type of resolution is going to happen to end the war in Iran. Because with them already attacking, it's put an alert, like you were alluding to, Elder, on everybody else. Why would they sit there and be in cahoots with America now when they've seen how they've acted? And on top of the fact, when they've seen how Iran has responded and how they stood up for themselves, you know what I'm saying? And now the other countries like, well, damn, let the weak say I'm strong then. Right. I'll say no. So we're not dealing. They're not going to be, they're not trying to make any type of deals, you know what I'm saying, with America. That's just one of those, you know what I'm saying, the little things that they pushing out there. Until I hear the Iranian leaders, they didn't kill a few of them. So until they haven't announced the new one since they didn't kill the third one. So they kind of moving a little smart now. So until I see any of the Iranian news pop out and be like, yeah, we making deals with America, I do not believe it. It's a show.
Hallelujah. All praises. Hey, do you see my screen share with the scriptures up there?
Now we can.
Okay,
gotcha.
Okay, there we go.
Take it away.
Make sure. All right, so we going to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, because Zamran asked me a question concerning what scripture pops to my head as we review what we're looking at in current events today. And that's in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I'm going to start it off at verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to pull up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? I have seen the travail which the Almighty have given to the sons of men to exercise in it. So I leave it right here, family. There's a time for war and there's a time for peace. There's a time to give and there's a time to take. Just like there's a time to be born, there's a time to die. There is a time for everything under the sun. What does that mean? That means life is an experience. You don't just experience good times, you also experience the hard times. And unless you're willing to go through the hard time of experience, you don't have the ability to grow, because you don't grow from easy times. You grow from adversity. You grow from conflict. You grow through your trials. It's just like when you go to the gym and exercise and you're picking up heavy weight. That's a heavy weight that you're training to develop more strength. You run an extra mile to get more stamina. So when you go through adversity, you have to embrace the adversity just like you embrace your happy times. But it's more for you to experience and be willing to embrace the hard times to pick up the strength, to gain the power that you need to be able to conquer what's before you. So I say that to everybody out here as we watching what's going on in social media, watching what's going on in the world. Have your own ability to go through the hard times and be ready to go through it, because hard times are at the door. But at the end of the hard times is your power and strength. At the end of the fall of the current regime is the rise of your nation, your ethnicity, your bloodline. A rise for the people that the Almighty made a covenant with, to stand on our own 2 feet and declare our nationality, our bloodline, and our ethnicity. So you got the kindness in your hands, family. So let's do that. So again, I'm gonna say shalom, much peace and love to our people out there. And let's go ahead and declare who we are. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Kind words, all praise to the Most High. It's always good hearing, you know what I'm saying, these words of wisdom, you know what I'm saying, and affirmation from the elder Shemaiah. You understand? This has been another great episode, you know what I'm saying, of Let the Truth Be Told podcast. Again, you guys hit that like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet, so that we can push this information out in the algorithms, because there's a lot of fake news that's going on. And I appreciate you guys, you know what I'm saying, engaging in the chat. Shout out to Campster Mill, you know what I'm saying? We actually talked about you earlier, you know what I'm saying, on the episode, Campster Mill. So you might have to go rewind back, you know what I'm saying? Go check that out. But we were actually alluding to what you had said last week, you know what I'm saying, on the podcast, as far as that there really is no evidence of other countries, you know what I'm saying, having actual ICBM missiles that can wipe out a whole country. Now, whether they have it or not, you know what I'm saying, they're definitely not using it. So until one has been used, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, that was a great point that you brought out. We talked about it today on the show, but I definitely appreciate, you know what I'm saying, your donation. You know what I'm saying? He says, praise Yah alone and for using these brothers to tell the truth. Hey, man, we can't do it without the Most High. And we're nothing. We're nothing but dust and ashes. We're just like you guys. We're just trying to, you know what I'm saying, come together as a nation, like Elder's been saying, right? That this is not a religion, right? The Bible is not a religious book. Right, we got to put away man-made doctrine, you know what I'm saying, and understand that the Most High wants us to dwell together as a nation. And the way that he wants us to do that, he has ordinances and he has statutes, and those are going to be put back in place once we are in our land. So with that being said, y'all, I love you guys. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody in the chat, and we will catch you guys next week for another episode of Let the Truth Be Told podcast. And also, make sure you chime in this Tuesday for Elder on his channel at Malek's Corner. If you have not subscribed to that channel, the information is right at the bottom. All right, make sure you subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Malek's Corner, MALEKS Corner. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys subscribe to that, and we'll catch you guys there on Tuesday. Until then, we love y'all. Shalom, peace, and blessings.
Shalom, shalom.
Let the truth be told.